This video is the first in a series of videos on consecrated living, the lives of religious men and priests. The persons in this video have shared deeply and personally about how they live their consecrated lives, the lives they have chosen to live as religious men and priests. We hope that this video will be an inspiration to those of you who are watching it in these times of ours, and that it makes relevant all that we are living. We also hope that this video will be an inspiration to those who would like to join this way of life.
Religious life today for me is an imitation of Christ's life, imitating Christ as he lived and what he did in this world for the humanity.
In religious life, I find something that gives me maximum motivation, maximum will to do what I want to do with my life. To me, it is a way of life that where I feel most at home.
I feel for me at this time, I need to focus on what I'm doing as against what I'm being. Because sometimes we have this debate, being and doing and all. I feel I need to do a lot. I need to kind of see what my priesthood is all about, how I do mission. So I want to focus, for me at this time of my life, I want to focus on the doing, not so much the being innovative, creative. So that is what came to me for my priesthood.
As a priest, as a religious priest, I could give Jesus more through sacraments. I could give Jesus more through sacraments. That's what I feel as a religious priest.
My priesthood is based on the priesthood of Jesus Christ and close to the heart of Jesus Christ. Well, first of all, I must say clearly that when I celebrate the Eucharist, I really feel that I belong to God and I belong to Jesus. That is a core of my priesthood which strengthens me, which gives me fulfillment, and which gives me the best sense of belonging. So I belong to Christ, but not alone to Christ. I also belong to the people of God, to whom I am to serve with the help of God. So I belong to Jesus and I belong to my people who are entrusted to me. Celibacy helps me to commit myself much more than a person who's in love with one particular person would have that freedom. So celibacy gives me a freedom to fall in love with everyone. And it helps me to commit my life on a stronger basis than the others.
Celibacy is all about kind of making yourself available to people. It is not abusing the other person. It is not taking advantage of a friendship. It is being honest, transparent. So I see this particular value in this vow of celibacy. I mean, people do raise a lot of, especially the secular world outside, there are a lot of questions are raised about celibacy. What is its relevance today? But I do find a relevance in terms of the witness and a kind of contrast to the culture of manipulative relationships we see in today's world.
I think it's about commitment. It's about a commitment that we make, and our ability to remain faithful and faithful to that commitment. A promise, a vow that I take. To that extent, but even celibacy, I do not see it as actually as more difficult than something that a married person takes, the vows that he takes or she takes. I think fidelity and faithfulness is equally difficult in both the sphere. But whereas when we are able to be faithful, when we are able to demonstrate our fidelity, in that sense we are demonstrating to the people also, to the faithful also, that it is possible for people to be faithful, a promise that we make. It is possible for us to be committed to a vow that we take, a promise that we do for the lifetime.
Yeah, although there are challenges there, still I feel it is worthwhile this chastity or celibate chastity is still worthwhile for various reasons. One thing is if a person is genuinely following or making a lot of efforts and attempt to follow through prayer life, all these things, a person becomes, I feel, fully human and fully spiritual, profoundly spiritual. So in that way, it is still worthwhile, and then one can commit oneself more freely to the ministry that is entrusted to him, because there's no other preoccupations about the family or about individuals with whom we get stuck. There is no much preoccupations.
For me, when I take this chastity, it is that life-giving love, or living in a love. And what today I feel that world is very much hungry of this love. And so that by loving and by embracing this celibacy, I am imitating the Christ, who himself he lived a very beautiful life, the chaste life. And by following him, I am becoming a witness.
Celibacy is not only for the married people or religious. You can say married people also do practice celibacy, and it's religious because we have trusted a way of life and given ourselves to that life. I find celibacy is part of your commitment that you make, and it is very much wanted, and it's a way of life to come up and live this call to be a follower of Christ.
Initially, to be very honest, initially I had a lot of problems with feelings. Like, for example, you can almost say I cut myself off from feelings, and my belonging was more at an impersonal level. Okay, we come together, we have a sense of belonging, but to crack jokes, to talk about impersonal things. So the belonging was at a very, very impersonal level. Later, when especially after my ordination, when the challenges came and when you felt lonely and all, you kind of looked for some kind of support, emotional support, somebody to be there for you, to talk to share with and all. And at that time, I developed what I call as friendships. I kind of felt for the other person. The feelings came in over there. That's the time when I felt comfortable with my feelings of belonging, to kind of, but not belonging to somebody, but at a feeling level, you feel close to somebody. You feel comfortable with somebody. You feel comfortable with the fact that somebody is your friend. So you feel nice, you get a nice feeling about that sense of belonging.
I see feelings as an asset that I have. As a religious, it has become all the more important for me to be aware of my feelings, to be able to express it in a way that is appropriate and, as I said, responsible. I think the challenge has always been to learn to do those two, to learn what is the most appropriate way as a religious to express my feelings, and also the most responsible way to do that.
So it is wonderful to fall in love, but not with one person. For a priest like me, for me, I want to fall in love with everybody who comes to me, whether rich or poor, whether literate or illiterate, whether that person belongs to my parish or somewhere else. Whoever comes to me, I must fall in love with that person. Only then the fulfillment that I spoke about can be achieved as a priest.
What I understand is burnout. That means that sometimes the priests, they work too much, and sometimes when they don't get that expected result, then they are broken down. Another thing what I see is, suppose they don't get the support from their fellow priests or from their community members. So anything, whether they are sick, they have the stress, they are broken down, and then when they don't get the support, they don't get the love, they don't get the care, then they are broken down. And then in this brokenness, that addiction, so they want to find some consolation, they want to find some joy, they want to forget their own anxieties and then sorrows. So they are addicted. So they take certain things, and they become almost that addicted to that. And so, what I feel that how this brokenness, how it leads to addiction, and how they are addicted.
Personally, I think I have not experienced burnout to its full extent, but you can say a borderline burnout once in a way. And I feel that happens when I think I'm more important. I give importance to myself, to my work, and I want to do everything. And then there comes a time when the pressure becomes too much, and there comes a time where you realize that you feel disillusioned, you feel tired, and all. And as I was mentioning, it happens when you make yourself too important, you make yourself the center and you have to do everything. And then you kind of, and you don't take care of yourself in the sense you don't take care of your emotional needs. You don't take care of self, maybe of basic needs within yourself, or there are problems within you. You don't attend to them and all. So when all these things happen, I think ultimately we put ourselves on the line of burnout.
I think to get burnout once in a way is good, because that gives you a push to go ahead in life. If everything is fine, sometimes you feel life is monotonous. So I'm not saying that we must invite this feeling of getting burnt out. But if that feeling comes in life, I think it's normal. We need not worry about it. Well, this feeling of burnout, also we have to take care when we feel. Because today the world talks about multitasking. And the priest also, especially I do multitasking many a times. So your mind is working on many different things at the same time. Your body is working, physically you're working on different things that are happening around you. And then you get this feeling. So what helps is that you begin your day with a prayer where you offer your day and you work throughout the day. God is with you. At the Eucharist, you once again surrender all that I'm going to do during the day. And then at night, once again spend a few moments with the Lord to take away these feelings of emptiness, being burnout.
There are some who feel more lonely than the others. Now, I am someone who actually, to a great extent, enjoy being myself. No difficulty with that in that sense. But at the same time, the loneliness that you talk about is at the same time a loneliness that comes from a level of emptiness that we continue occasionally to feel. Emptiness in terms of sometimes relationships, because there is no one with whom you can have an exclusive, intimate relationship. And at the same time, a loneliness that comes from no one to come home to, kind of a feeling that we might get. To that extent, I think for me, what is been most important has been the community.
As a celibate, we feel more because we lack a personal company. Because we are not committed to one person or to a close setup. We lack that. I do experience the emptiness and loneliness, and it is sometimes very terrific. But then I gain consolation myself only with the person of Jesus Christ, because He voluntarily embraced emptiness and loneliness for the salvific purpose, for redemptive purpose. He voluntarily endured. Similarly, I also feel my celibacy is not enforced upon me, imposed upon me, since I volunteered with the hope that I will be enjoying the beatific vision or the reward next, or even now God rewarding me in different other ways.
When I feel the emptiness, so in one way, that loneliness and emptiness somehow that it is more like a stress or anxiety or the sadness. But in another way, what I see that emptiness, with that kenosis, emptying oneself, then I feel in a different way. That means when I am empty myself, that means when I empty myself of my selfishness, of my weakness, of my these blocks, of my bad habits, when I empty myself, then only I can embrace some goodness.
I'll talk about loneliness. When I became a priest, immediately at my ordination, I did experience a kind of loneliness, and that was because I realized in my formation time, I never bothered to invest in friendships. It was like a more like a independent way of life, and that kind of male kind of thing. Like, I mean, dependency is not good. You need to be independent. But after my ordination, and when I was doing ministry by myself, and I had a lot of other, it was not so easy. That's the time I experienced loneliness. Loneliness in the sense, when I'm in trouble or when I'm in a kind of dilemma, I realized I felt so uncomfortable to approach people to guide me. It was like almost feeling humiliated, okay, to guide for some help, to ask for some help, or to know to want to something. So that's the time I experienced I'm lonely in a way. Maybe for external things, for jokes and for other things, you have people. But then to really talk about yourself, what is bothering you, to kind of make yourself vulnerable, I had nobody, to be honest, at that time when I immediately my ordination. So loneliness, I realized, was a result of the fact that I did not invest in people. Another type of loneliness is because of the choices you make. You make a choice, say for example, to give your opinion, which goes against maybe the popular opinion, but you feel that's the right thing. And then you feel yourself maybe kept a bit aloof by others because of the opinion you give. I feel comfortable with that loneliness, but not so comfortable with the other one. And that is what made me to invest in people afterwards. That means I started to give more importance to people.
Well, sadly, some priests get into addictions. I would say is the most dangerous thing to get into addictions. If you do not have any friends to share, because many a times priests, as they live alone in their rectories or in the institutions, at times they do not have many people to share with. Therefore, I strongly suggest that we must have one or two priests who are very close to us, and that we must be able to share everything that is happening in my life with these priests. That has helped me personally, having close friends, priest friends, with whom I share. And then there is no chance of being lost, feeling lonely, burnt out, and nowhere to go. So hit any addiction instead of hitting a friend or surrendering yourself to the Lord.
I treasure that joy to be religious, to be someone who has been called by Christ, and I have responded. I treasure that joy in my life and continue.
I treasure my life, my vocation more, and through prayer and through interpersonal relationship, I treasure my life and my vocation.
Over the years, what I treasure has changed. Today, I treasure relationships at different levels. It can be relationship with God. It can be relationship with my friends. They can be both men and women friends. It can be relationship with my conference, with my community. Because I felt this is the thing relating to people at very kind of meaningful levels that really is giving me joy and happiness. So I treasure my relationships.
I think what I treasure the most is the Eucharist. The reason why is because that is something that gives a purpose, that in one sense demonstrates a purpose for me.
One of the relationship which I cherish very much is that the shepherd. God is my shepherd. I myself, I was a shepherd boy. And so when I came to know in the Bible that God is a shepherd, and so this relationship that God is my shepherd, and that relationship becomes very strong for me, because I know that what the shepherd means and how God is like my shepherd. So how he is leading me to the green pastures, how he is leading me to the living water, and how he provides. And so that this is what I feel my relationship with God, that it is like a father and son, and like a teacher and this student, and like a shepherd and the sheep. I feel that my relationship with God is also like this, and so very strong relationship, and this is the covenant relationship.
And there is one constant prayer I say daily to God: Lord, keep me a priest forever. Let everything be lost from my life, but not my priesthood. My priesthood is very, very precious to me because I simply enjoy being a priest. I simply feel blessed by God to become a priest. There are many more people in the world who are more capable than me, who could be much better priests than me, but God has chosen me, and I'm truly grateful to God. So I truly treasure my priesthood a lot.
Consecrated living is as challenging as it is fulfilling. The conversations that we have just heard on consecrated living by the persons who spoke bring to relevance all that we live today and have shown to us how these men have dealt with the various issues that are part and parcel of consecrated living in the world today. We hope that this video has been an inspiration to you, and we look forward to your continual viewing of our other videos to come.